Well, hello, everyone, and welcome to the very next episode of The Remedy with Tova Sido and
Janice Gaunt and
Tom Bridwell.
Tom, that sounded so official.
manly.
Yeah.
I'm Tom Bridwell.
You really could be like a book reader.
I think I'm gonna change my voice.
Yeah.
And I'm going to be, hello, I'm Janice Gaunt.
Janice Gaunt. You know, people would be so sad if you ever.
Oh, right.
No, I have to tell you, when I run into people who listen to us, I have to say that at least 85% of them talk about how much they love your voice and your accent.
Oh my God.
They love it. You know, did you ever watch Dolly Parton's? Yeah, I love her.
I like Dolly Parton.
I love Dolly
too.
Parton. But you know how she just has that sweet, very unique Southern belle voice, and people just fall in love with her because her voice is so fantastic.
Well, I think a Southern accent is a lot better than a West Texas accent.
Oh, but I think what I'm saying to you is I think people really love your accent. As evidenced by the 85% that talk to me about your accent.
Okay, I believe you, Tova. Thank you. So I don't need to go into
don't change.
deep voice.
But I do like Tom's new little whatever that little zang was.
That was 3 hours of sleep, Tom.
Why do you only have 3 hours of sleep?
Partially because of video games and partially because of snoring spouse.
Oh.
Both of those would not work for me.
Video games, I was going to be like, so how old are you?
You're not going to believe this, but okay, so the last time I played video games would have been 2003, back when the PlayStation 2 was out, and I was touring with my band, and it was like a really good way for us to kill time in the hotel room. But I went 20 years without playing, and I just got a PlayStation for Betty and I, PlayStation 5, about 4 months ago.
And it is having a little fun.
The most fun. I'm telling you, like, I play video golf and video soccer, and it's like I'm not spending any money. I'm not going to the bar drinking. So
Exactly.
Like, it's a really cheap way to entertain myself, but sometimes I don't go to bed till like 1 o'clock.
So does Betty like it? Does she
loves
like the
it.
games?
She absolutely loves it. She doesn't get to play a whole lot, but when she does, she loves it. And she and I are going to be home alone this weekend because Maureen's going out of town, so we'll probably play a lot of video games
bet
this
you do
weekend.
too.
Yes.
I hope Maureen doesn't listen to this episode.
No, she hates it. She basically hasn't forgiven me for buying it for 4 months.
That's what I'm saying.
So do you remember playing Mario Brothers?
Yes, that was like the best game ever, pretty much. And my band would eventually cover that song.
Oh,
Yeah,
really?
we actually played it at my wedding.
Oh my God,
That's amazing.
Yep. Very, very
Wow.
infectious video game song.
amazing.
When Kurt and I were married, we moved to Chicago from Dallas, and we were in Chicago, and
It's when your earrings froze on your ears.
yes, it was terrible. And we lived in an apartment in downtown Chicago while we were redoing our house up on the North Shore. And so my kids played Mario Brothers, and I did too, and Kurt, and it was so much fun. I'd do that again right now.
And they've come a long way, so I mean, they're pretty fun, I gotta say.
I watch George from time to time play video games, or I watch Craig's boys play, and I'm like, it moves so fast.
Yes.
And like I am amazed at the advancement and the quality, and I don't think I could do it. I don't think I have the hand-eye coordination that's required these days.
You know, I did that.
Go ahead. No, I was going to say, you add in the internet part of it, because in the old days, you couldn't really connect online. But now, when I play video golf, my buddy who lives in Argyle,
Yeah.
an hour away, we put on the headset
Yep.
and it's like we're sitting in the same room together.
Yep.
Another
I
dude from
always
Illinois
hear-
that I know plays
Yeah.
with us all the time.
I
So
always hear George talking to his buddies.
Yeah, it's
I'm like, who are
amazing.
you talking to? And I'm like, oh, he's playing video games.
That's so fun.
Isn't that fun?
Yeah, it's really fun. Do you know what I've been doing? So there are 44 seasons of Survivor.
Are you
And
obsessed?
Yes, and I'm a Survivor watcher, and I haven't watched 44 seasons, but I've watched
I cannot believe there's 40.
44 seasons because they come out like maybe 2
Unbelievable.
or 3 times a year sometimes, and I've probably watched 20 seasons maybe. So I've been watching old Survivor episodes.
I bet that's kind of because
Oh
it
my
doesn't
gosh.
matter when it happened. They're all just still trying to survive.
Yeah,
it's the
and
same concept, just a different time.
Yeah.
But if you haven't seen it, it's all new to you.
Yeah, it's so fun, and some of them I think I did see that one, but it's really it's like an obsession.
I can get that way about some shows.
Yeah.
I think this whole TV revolution, especially with COVID,
Yeah.
I never. I didn't even know how to work my TV until COVID.
Really?
No, I've never watched television ever, never, ever, never, ever. And I love watching television.
I like it too. Tom, have you watched Daisy Jones and the Six?
Has it started?
Yeah.
I haven't.
It's so good. You might like it.
I
It's
read the book.
So did Blair, my daughter. And have you heard of it, Tom?
I think is it a book? It's based off a book?
Yes.
Uh-huh.
I
I
just
believe my
read
wife
the book.
read that book, so that's where I've heard of it.
It's good. You might like it because it's about a band.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah, you'd like it.
Go ahead, Tom.
No, you go ahead.
So the reason I found so I don't read fiction. Like I really only read nonfiction or historical. I don't know. I don't care about reading fiction. But when I was Phil Scoville, who's my doctor, he one day when I was in there for an appointment, he was like, "Have you read Daisy Jones and the Six?" And I'm like, "No." And he's like, "You have to read it." He's like, "You are Daisy Jones." And I'm like,
Is that Field Scoville from the Carroll Clinic?
Yeah.
Yeah. I've seen him before
Yeah.
for a foot issue.
Oh, really?
A long time ago, but I just hadn't
the
heard that
best.
name since then.
So he was my doctor when I got hit by the truck, and he changed my body. I mean, he helped me heal. and
Yeah,
it
he was
amazing.
great for you.
Yeah.
He's a great guy. He married one when Bren was at UT. Lyle, his wife, was Bren's roommate. So we've known him forever. And then he and Lyle moved to Lubbock when Blair was there. And then they came back to Dallas.
Well,
So he was in partnership with my brother-in-law.
I knew he was like super close with your family, but anyway, I read the book because he was like, "You remind me of Daisy Jones," and I was like, "Well, now I got to figure out
That's interesting.
Yeah, why?
Because she was a rock star.
Yeah.
You don't sing.
No, he was like, except for the singing. But I guess there was something about her. I think because she's wild and a little
She
bit
is wild.
we need to transcend into our topic to today. But first, we need to thank our sponsor, Casey Hanna.
Casey, thank you.
Yes, I
Thank you,
think
Casey.
she has sponsored us several times.
I think so too.
Yeah, she's a big fan. She's always like sending the love on Instagram, and
Oh, that's really
yeah,
sweet.
I
Thank
really
you.
appreciate about her. Okay, so today we are talking about contentment, how to be content. There's 15 tips to find contentment. So I think the first thing that would be helpful is to figure out what is contentment, which I like this way to start because, you think about, like, I've thought a lot about this word contentment long before you ever suggested this as
really?
a topic because I've taught it with like my Bible studies because the Bible talks a lot about contentment. And when I've taught Bible studies, you think about like if somebody was to say to you, "Hey T, how you doing?" Or "Hey Janice, how are you doing today?" "Tom, how are things in life?" And you're like, "Oh, I'm just content." Like you'd be like, "That's the least sexy answer."
Boring.
Least sexy answer of all time. And yet there's something really spectacular about that word. So this article answers the question, what is contentment? Contentment or contentedness is a state of being satisfied with what you have, where you are, or who you are. Being content means you're happy with your current state and don't need or want anything more to maintain your level of happiness. The opposite of contentment is dissatisfaction or unhappiness. Being content about being able to appreciate where you are at that moment in time instead of sulking about what you don't have or constantly thinking about the grass is greener on the other side. There's nothing wrong with being ambitious and wanting more for your life. After all, you only get one, so you might as well make the most of it. But don't get so caught up that you can't attain happiness from the present. That's where contentment comes into play. If you just can't seem to be satisfied and appreciate the present moment in time, here are 15 tips to be content in your life. Love it.
Yeah, isn't that a great explanation?
It's the best I've ever heard.
Because, and what I like about it is that it says it's okay to still want more.
Yeah, and to be ambitious.
And to be ambitious and to be, want to go different places and all of that. But if it becomes an obsession and with you
and
have
robs your happiness.
And robs your happiness, then that dissatisfaction is not going to be satiated, with content, with the good.
Yeah. I think it's actually the best description of the value of being content that I've ever heard.
Yeah, me too. And in our world, we are at least in our friendship groups and our where we live and all of that, you have a lot of people that want more and more and more and more, or bigger. Or when I drive around in the neighborhood and look at the houses that are being built, they are
shocking,
monstrous. And I'm not saying that is wrong, because it's not.
Yeah, but
it's truly confusing to me, because I don't know what I would do with all of that space,
right?
But I think that, and then what I've heard is people say, well, the lots are so expensive that you've got to build a big enough house to make it worth the while. And then that confuses me, because I'm thinking, well, I wouldn't want to have to build a bunch of bedrooms
to make a bunch of beds that aren't being slept in.
Yeah. Exactly.
I don't want to clean toilets that aren't being flushed.
No. And, so it is very interesting how that can be a bit of a rat race.
Yeah.
And want more and more and more from that. And I don't think it's wrong for people to be ambitious with their careers or whatever, because then a lot of that is used for helping other people, and it makes the world go round to kind of spread the love. As I always say, money's like, mayonnaise. If you don't spread it, it's not going to do any good. Yeah. So really you really do want to spread it around, but it depends on where you are in that happiness level. So I think that was a really good explanation of that.
I agree. And when the discontent takes over, like when the ambition and the satiation for more and more and more takes over the joy and the peace of where you are, that's where the discontent takes place, is that gap.
Yeah.
And not appreciating, okay, I want to get there. There's nothing wrong with wanting, I want to get there.
Yeah.
So there's nothing wrong with wanting to get there. It's just that from where I am to where I'd love to be, it's like, what takes up the space in between? Is it peace? Is it gratitude? Or is it is it bitterness? Is it discontent? Am I losing sleep because all I can think about is getting to the next place without really appreciating where I am? I know there's all these studies, and I'm sure, Tom, you've heard them as well, that like if you were like your 20-year-old self and you imagined or you saw yourself where you are today, and you saw your bank account and you saw your home and you saw your cars, you'd be like, there's no way.
Right. That is a great way to look at it.
Yes. Like you would be so satiated.
I know.
Like,
well, you wouldn't believe that it would be possible.
Oh, no. You would never believe. I would have never believed my 20-year-old self that I would have the home, the car, and the bank account that I do. Never. I would have never believed it. Or the job, or the all the travel, the life that I live, I would never believe it. And it's like wherever we go in life, so many of us, it's like you up your game. Okay, now I got to up my game again. Okay, I got to up my game again. In fact, there was I got to be careful here, but there was a family that Craig helped because he's in the mortgage business. During COVID, when the rates were super low, he helped them consolidate their debt, refinance, pay off a bunch of their debt because they had been pretty irresponsible with their finances.
Yeah.
And so he helped them refinance their house and consolidate a lot of their debt and brought down the mortgage $3,000 a month. I mean, it was insane what the financial burden that Craig and his company took off of this. And this family called him this morning when I was because they're back in debt. They're back in.
Oh my gosh.
Like that was.
What'd they do? Get a new house?
No, they stayed in the same house and he brought their mortgage down. But it's like, and just when you think that like, okay, now we're going to be able to take a deep breath, because now we're out of our debt and now we've got our mortgage down. But what these people did is instead of using that as an opportunity to put themselves in a better financial situation, they just accumulated more debt.
So what were they getting? Well,
I don't know.
Just some sort of debt. They
Credit
were borrowing
card.
money.
It was credit card.
It was credit card.
And so now they're asking Craig again, can we refinance? It's like some people are always chasing. And we know we've
we do.
seen this in our lives, friends, communities. And it's like so many people, whatever they have, it's never enough.
Yeah.
And just when they think they have enough, now they've got to go get more. And it's like you're chasing your tail,
Well, and it's easy to do. We if you've got a great big closet, then you fill it up. And then, I was thinking the other day, because I need to go through my closet and get rid of a bunch of stuff.
Can
and
you
I was
hand that over to me?
No, there's T-shirts with little holes in them that I keep thinking, well, maybe I'll wear that. But I was thinking about this very thing after I sent you this article, and I thought, I don't yearn for any more handbags. I don't yearn for expensive shoes. I just don't. I'm content in a lot of ways with my closet, which is really nice to be there.
Oh, yeah.
Because I was thinking one day, and I was thinking I'd heard about a sale that was going on at Neiman's, and I thought, I should go and see what. And then I'm like, I don't need it. I don't even yearn for it.
Are you thinking that's different because there was a time you did?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
There was a time when I would have wanted more and more and more. It's what filled the closet up in the first place, was wanting more and thinking that, oh gosh, those shoes or whatever, shoes and handbags were really kind of the things that I like a lot. But then one day I looked at it and I thought, you know what? I've got a nice handbag for each of my granddaughters. I don't want any more. I don't need another handbag or anything, because you just get, I don't know. It's like the taste of it is not settling anymore. Maybe that's part of me getting older is that the thing that I yearn for is, more time with my grandkids and kids.
I have to say, I believe that I don't think it's an age thing, because I'm there, and I think there's people younger than me that are there.
That's good.
Yeah, I because there was definitely also a time where I was not satisfied. I did want more, but I don't. Maybe it is an age thing. I don't know, but I have the same mindset as you. Like, the only thing that I want more of is time.
Yeah. Yeah, I know.
That's really, I want more time to live. I want more time to travel.
So do you want more time to do that because you're too busy in other areas of your life? So in other words, in order for you to be content with having that extra time, are there things in your life that you think, you know what, maybe I've outgrown that, or maybe I don't necessarily need to do as many of those things?
For me, there was something about turning 50.
Yeah.
That really made me consider, okay, I'm on the back 9 of my life,
I'm on like 15, a whole 15, and it's a par 5.
That's so cute. Something about turning 50 made me get into full appreciation mode of time. And my mom died when she was 53.
Oh yeah, that would be a quickening experience.
Yes.
For you.
And so for me, the reality is people can die really young. And working at the church, I did a lot of really great people's funeral when they were in their 40s and their 50s.
Yeah.
And 60s. Even if I died in my 60s, that's too young for me. And yet a lot of people do. And so for me, there was something about turning 50 that made me really consider, okay, I need to really consider how I use my time.
And that's so fun, because once you kind of get to that place, you're going to be saying yes to things that are really going to be fun for you, and no to things that you could think, maybe I don't want to go on that big girls trip. I'd rather, do blah, blah,
with
blah.
George.
And yeah, exactly. And, Tova, when you, and, Tom, Betty is so young, but at one point you'll be there too, is then you will have grandchildren, and it's a whole nother ball game.
People say that.
Everybody
says that.
Oh my God, I never knew I could love that deeply. I think it's because you don't have to have the responsibility of it. Also, it's all good. And the desire to spend time with those people and my children is it's the number one priority. So it's so a lot of other areas in my life I can feel real contentment around. I mean, I'm still going to go to Mexico with my friend and do Spanish in April again, and then but it's just different.
Yeah, and I would argue that if you lived to be 95, it would still not be enough time to be with little Owen.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right.
You do not have, that chokes me up. And he's not even my grandchild.
I know. Well, he and Skylar are both 13.
That's crazy.
I know.
That's crazy. And I just have to imagine that there's never enough time, as long as you live on this planet, to be with the people that you love the most.
And it's really interesting. It'll be so fun for y'all to experience that. And that, I took him Blair called me. She had to teach an early morning yoga class, and she said, will you take Owen to basketball practice? No, it was track practice last time.
Early in the morning?
So I said, oh my gosh, I'd love to pick him up. So, he's so cute. And I picked him up at 6:30, and he gets in the car, and he's like, hey, Tutu. And then I'm listening to the ticket, of course. And so
he's listening to
Jerry. It was great. Actually, it was fake Nolan Ryan, and it was hilarious. But so then he gets out of the car, and I said, "Bye, Owen. Have a great day." And he said, "Okay, you too, Tutu. I love you."
Oh.
I mean, what?
13 years old.
Pay for anything more valuable than a 13-year-old boy telling his grandmother, "I love you," when he gets out of the car.
Nope.
Yeah.
Nailed it. Nailed it. I mean, write the book, Janet, so that we can all get it right.
No
So
more books,
cute.
Tova. No more.
You say that now.
I mean, but it does. It brings tears. Isn't it just, it's a richness.
It's the best part of life.
Yeah, it really is.
I get it. So I think we're going to have to do this in 2 episodes, but that's great. We'll start with number 1 because there's 15 of them. The first one of how to be content is do what you love.
Love that.
Duh. Whenever you do what you love, no matter the activity, you find yourself happier. So many people are stuck in activities they find boring, and the number 1 culprit is their jobs. The average person spends over 20% of their total waking hours at work. So you might as well do something you enjoy. Do what you love makes being content so much easier. It boosts your self-esteem and your self-worth and makes you more motivated to try new things in life as well. I think doing what you love gives you confidence.
I do too.
Why do you think that?
Well, I think that it gives us confidence because we are telling ourselves that we matter. You know, if I'm doing things that I love and it's maybe sometimes not what other people would want me to do, then I'm giving myself the message that I matter to me and I'm responsible for seeking those things that bring me joy. Mm-hmm. You know, and that is going to breed contentment.
For sure. And for me, like the times in my life where I was doing something that I didn't love versus now where I do something that I totally love, I think that when you are doing something you love, it does boost your confidence because chances are if you're doing something you love, you're good at it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we all want to be contributing.
Yeah.
You know, we all want to be contributing to the world. And so if we feel like what we're spending 20% of our waking hours doing is contributing to our lives and the lives of others, how could we not feel good about that?
Yeah, and if that is a value of yours, some people have a different value and they may decide that they want to work with animals.
Perfect.
Or
thank God they do, because I don't.
Yeah. So it's very interesting. Tom, so I have a question for you. So I know that you played in a band. So when did you decide that this music world was the very best thing that was going to bring you contentment?
Okay, so in 2000, from 99 to 2004 is when I was doing the band. And at the end of 2004, there were 2 guys that were married and one guy had kids. Actually, maybe 2 guys had kids. And it was one of those things where we just weren't making enough money. And it was a tough decision for all of us. It was sad, but we knew it was the end. And I was kind of like, what am I going to do now? Get a real job? Or am I going to continue to do music? Because it's what I love. It's what I always wanted to do. And I just remembered thinking that the guy that recorded us at Last Beat Studios, we made 3 records, Paul Williams, the engineer at Last Beat, I thought that dude had the coolest job. I was just mesmerized by what he got to do sitting at the desk. And I just kind of imagined myself waking up and going to the studio and recording bands. I would still be involved in making music. I wouldn't be on stage, but it was the kind of thing where I was like, this is something I could see myself doing. So I immediately went to Dallas Sound Lab's School of Recording. And then I got an internship at the studio that my band had recorded at. Paul Williams gave me an internship. And the owner, Karen Barrett, was very nice to let me work there. And within a year, I was on salary there. So It was
a great
just
story.
It was basically me just kind of thinking, weighing. I swear, it took an hour. I was weighing my options. Am I gonna, change, like go back to college and try to have a desk job, or am I gonna just figure out a way to stay in the music business?
Yeah,
and that's what I did.
That's something that is like in your blood and in your body that that you just
can't deny.
No. Yeah.
And I mean, as a drummer, and I mean, I'm sort of a technical person anyway. So these machines up here, you can see them in the camera here, that I'm sitting at this big desk, and these kind of machines and plugging things in and out. It's always been as a boy, it was just kind of like a interest to me, I guess. So I guess that technical part was just kind of already in me. But once I learned how to use these machines and apply them to music, and having a musical background definitely helped me with the job. So it seemed like the perfect fallback job for me as a musician was recording engineer.
Yeah, that is so cool, because you think about, we were talking earlier about the movie Daisy Jones and the Six, and it's about this band, and they record and stuff, and the engineers that are participating in recording, they make a huge difference in what it sounds like. So even if you're not actually playing the drums or playing the guitar, you are creating.
Heck yeah, you are.
Absolutely. Yeah,
it's really cool.
George was showing me a TikTok the other day of somebody singing and their actual recording versus what was published.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
And what is it called when you mesh it, or
are you talking about a mashup?
no,
Or
I'm talking about like when
mixing?
you're off key.
Oh, auto-tune.
Auto-tune.
Yes.
Oh. And like, so there was this girl, so it was somebody like what you do, Tom, who was, you know how you were talking about in a couple of episodes ago, like you don't like to promote what you do, but George was showing me this TikTok of a producer like you,
Yep.
who showed what the voice of whoever they were recording sounded like before he got a hold of it, and then what the actual recording sounded like. And it was such a night and day difference. I was like, how does somebody, because by the time the producer was done with it, it sounded like a professional. It sounded like Beyonce.
Well, wait. Yep. So did they? So with the auto tune, do they, like if you're a little flat or a little sharp, it brings you back to the right?
It takes you to the right.
And then does it do like you put more bass in the voice or more treble or something?
That would be the EQ. The equalizer does that. That would increase bass or decrease treble. But yes, the auto tuner is a device that can hear your pitch in real time, and within a millisecond bring it up or down to the pitch that you want it to be. I mean, you can tell it to go to the closest one and kind of let it do it automatically, or you can actually tell it you want it to go to like the C sharp, and you might be like 2 full steps flat and bring it up to the C sharp. But it starts to sound kind of weird, like that recording. The most famous auto-tune fail, I think, of all time is that Cher song, Do You Believe?
Oh, yeah.
Next time you hear that song, listen to how robotic her voice sounds, because they
I
definitely
would never
overused the auto-tune for that.
Interesting.
But then the rappers, the hip-hop game, they discovered auto-tune, and they started using it as an effect. And they would program the auto-tune to like go crazy with the auto-tune, and it has this very robotic sound that they wanted it to be weird. So it can be used as an effect, not just a correction tool. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's so interesting. I have a friend whose son is he's a junior right now, and he loves music, and evidently he's really good at it, and he does. Okay, I know this isn't the right word. Like beats. He makes beats.
Yeah, beatboxing.
Yes, beatboxing.
But with his mouth, you mean?
No, he puts it together. He puts beats.
Okay, so he's using computers to program beats.
Yeah,
I would call that a drum programmer. Is what. But he makes beats.
Yeah, and he wants to go to a school where he can continue to do that for college. Do you have any thoughts about where some place would be like that?
Okay, so there's a place in Phoenix called Full Sail.
Yeah.
That's probably the most famous recording school, but then some of the really famous music colleges like Berkeley and that one in Nashville, I can't remember the name of it, Bent something, or it starts with a B. Anyway, there, and then the New School in New York City is pretty awesome, but Berkeley and Boston is all of those really awesome music schools have classes in this.
Nice.
But as far as like engineering, what I do, their Full Sail is the be all end all for that.
Okay.
I think they're based in Phoenix.
We totally digress, but my whole point in bringing that up, this is my fault.
It is your fault.
Is when George was showing me that, I was like, that is so unbelievable. And I was like, so how does somebody go live like that? Like if I have a terrible voice, but then I go to a live show, how would I give a concert? He's like, Mom, they can do that while they're performing. And my mind was just blowing. And my whole point in this is like, there is a dance space for every human being on the planet. Like, like Tom, if you didn't do what you do, we wouldn't be able to do what we do.
Right.
And I think that that's so freaking cool how like I depend on you.
Yeah.
And you all depend on me. Like we all, and I depend on the guy at the service station to fix my tire. And you know, it's like, there is not a, I am just a, like, so if you love to fix cars. And if you love to make beats. And
well, and I think
because it all matters.
It does matter. And I think that's a great point to make because I think that that's going to breed contentment. If you are fascinated with making beats, then you should pursue something that would have that. I don't know what it would be.
My
but
kids would really appreciate if those people would keep making beats.
Yeah.
And you and I probably not so much.
Well, and I think too. I think that the second one in tips to be content is to be grateful, and I think that this is a great place for us to talk about that because if things had not evolved, if everything was exactly the same as it had always been, and think, well, why would we need to auto-tune those voices? If they can't sing it right, they shouldn't be there, blah, blah, blah. But that has made things elevated and things have been bigger and better because of that. And I think as we are... When we think about these sort of tips to contentment is gratitude. There's no doubt that gratitude is the basis. It's the base of contentment.
It is. There's absolutely, I mean, research proves that.
Yeah, it does.
There's, in my gratitude journal, the first few pages are all about the science behind how gratitude can breed joy, contentment, peace in our souls. I mean, that is research driven.
Yeah.
That gratitude changes our mind.
Well, and you know, this talks about when you take stock of everything you have, friends, family, possessions, health, you'll find things to be happy about.
Always.
And, you know, chasing away the negative thoughts creates room for a better perspective in life. So if I sat around and thought, golly, I'm 70 years old, wonder how long I'm going to live, wonder blah, 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 then I'm missing out on the very essence of joy in being able to say, yeah, you know what? I'm 70 years old and I am so freaking grateful for that because there are a lot of people who don't make it.
Oh, and you're not just 70. You are healthy.
I am
a
healthy.
Great marriage. You have been crazy successful. You have a beautiful family. My sister years ago gave me this plaque in my house that I have up on my bookshelf, and it said she created the life she loved.
Oh, I love that.
And I think that about you. It's not like you tripped into this beautiful life. I think that gratitude has been a huge catalyst for both of us to catapulting us into creating. Nobody gave us this life. We created this life.
Right.
And I think that I know that our attitudes of gratitude have cultivated the life that we have created, not that's been given to us.
Well, and I think that when people are in a state of gratitude, then I think they're more aware of more and more things for which to be grateful. So it kind of like it perpetuates itself. You know, because if you're noticing the little things, then those little things turn into bigger things. And my dad had, I think it was Chuck Swindoll had. Have you ever heard that name?
Yeah, what is that name?
He was a TV evangelist back when I was young.
Okay, I'm like, I know this name.
And he talked about the attitude of gratitude, and my dad sent a copy of that to all of the grandchildren. And my dad lived and breathed that attitude of gratitude. And it really does make a difference.
Oh, 1,000. It's all perspective.
Yeah, it is.
So do you want to look at life from a place of lack, or do you want to look at life from a place of abundance?
That's right.
And no matter where you sit, you can look at it from either side of the fence.
And if you are focusing on living a life of abundance, then gratitude is what's going to get you there.
100%.
And so, yeah, we create that for ourselves in conjunction with the universe or God or whatever word you want to use. You know,
there's no doubt about that.
Yeah, yeah.
I think that goes along with the next one.
Me too.
Appreciate the small things in life. Who doesn't want to live a simple and happy life? Focus on the little things that give you pleasure, like taking a walk, playing with a pet, or feeling the warmth of sunlight on your face on a beautiful summer day. What simple things do you think you appreciate the most, Janice?
Well, I think things like Owen saying "I love you, Tutu" when he got out of the car, those sort of things, and all of the grandchildren, the little things they do, like hugging you, or they're just so joyful, you know, and they're always so sweet to me. That's one thing. You know, I don't know if I've said this on the air, but Tom and I got a dog, Buddy.
Oh, yeah.
And he's really, when he's sweet, he's really sweet. and it's really interesting because he has such a sweet nature that just gives him a richness to just being in the, you know, tonight Tom goes to tennis, and so I'll be home with Buddy, and we'll just sit on the couch and watch old Survivors. That's pretty simple.
So cute. That's adorable.
Yeah. But what about you?
I'm like, in fact, I said to Craig this morning, I was like, and I've said this to him before, but I am very simple when it comes to, like, my favorite nights are the nights that we stay home and cook. And it's kind of funny because I don't know what made me think about this, but I was talking about how in life there's seasons. And one of the things that was really difficult for me in the season of singleness between getting divorced and finding Craig was going out as a single mom. Like, that felt really strange to me.
Yeah.
That was a hard thing for me to get used to.
Me too.
Was it?
Yes.
And some people, when they're married, they kind of fantasize about that.
Yeah.
Like, I know some of my friends who have been married for a long time, they'll talk about, God, what would that be like? I'm like, it's overrated.
It's not what it's cracked up to be.
But I thought about, it really, for me, that now being back in a settled, peaceful, calm, loving, trusting relationship has brought back that contentment that I thought I had in my marriage, but now I feel it again. And so it's the simple things of stability and coming home. And I mean, when Craig grabs my hand on the console of the car, there's something so precious about that to me. There's like, those are the little simple things that bring me contentment.
Yeah. And having, I think one of the things that I so like and appreciate about Tom is that he really has my back, and he's very supportive of me and what I want, and he just has my back, and that feels really, really good.
Yeah, but there's not a lot of 20-year-olds that are sitting around being like, I'm just so content that Johnny has my back.
But I need to go shopping.
Exactly.
To make it even better.
To make it even more content. So maybe you're right. Maybe there is an element of age that comes with contentment. But what about you, Tom? What little things in life bring you a sense of contentment?
Definitely staying home on the weekends. I really like that.
What do you do when you're at home on the weekends?
Catch up on television. Usually eat really good cooking because Maureen loves to cook.
Yeah,
that's so cute.
Not spending money, not looking for parking spaces, not being part of the rat race. I don't know, those types of things. Just I really do like to keep it simple.
Yeah,
as much as I can, but then also golf. I mean,
I agree with you on that.
I literally would play every single day if I could. I would play a round of golf every day if I could.
I totally agree with you that there is something so beautiful and brings so much content about playing golf. I'm right there with you. I'm probably not as good as you, but there's something about being in the sun and the peacefulness, and maybe a little background music.
Yeah, sinking a putt.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It feels really good.
Or hearing the ping on the drive, and you're usually with people that you really enjoy. Yeah. I played with George this weekend.
Oh, you did?
I played with Craig last week. I played with his boys the weekend before. I mean, there's just something really content.
Yeah, Tom and I play
that.
golf together too. I hurt my shoulder, so I haven't been able to do it very well.
Is he a good golfer?
He's a pretty good golfer.
Is he? Mm-hmm. That doesn't surprise me. He has a golfer way about
he's
him.
real athletic. He played football in high school and ran track.
Yeah, he does. Does he still run? He looks like
and
a
plays
runner.
tennis.
So we probably should end with that since we're winding down on our time together, but we will pick this conversation up next week. We will start with number 4, serve others.
Yes. Serve me, please.
Please serve us. In the meantime, we hope these remedies help you, your life, and that you have an amazing week. Thanks for listening.
Thank you for listening.